as I watched Muhammadu Buhari being presented as the solution to Nigerian problems, the scales dropped, because it became easier to quickly see that in Nigeria, the real problem that we are confronting is the system itself. It is not about persons. If you brought 10 Obamas to succeed each other without addressing the fundamental problems that have been created by the system that underpins and undergirds the Nigerian state, all you would have successfully done is to distract attention away from the problem, push the problem a little further down the line, and then it will come back up again. Now, it is instructive that we should, and I'll try, I want you, I like the sound of my own voice. Now, but it is important we do something together. Zimbabweans were crying against Mugabe. And lo and behold, presto, revolution, they shouted. And then the crocodile came. Nangwagwa, I believe his name is called, pardon me. So he came, and they shouted, Eureka, revolution. Question is this, has anything changed? No. Come up to Sudan. In Sudan today, you have a system seeking to reinvent itself against the popular will of the people. Even though they have managed to remove the edge, the system remains in place. I have found that this happens only because those who presume to have solutions to the identified problem, which is the failure of the system, never articulate their positions. So while there might be an admission that the system has failed, when there isn't an articulated alternative that is acceptable to the people, all that always happens is that you might have implosions, which leads to sporadic violence, and then you have the system reinvent, pretending to have changed. In 2015, the Nigerian system simply corrected a systemic error, which was the product of Obasanjo's second-term hubris, and brought themselves together in order to remove the beneficiary of Obasanjo's hubris, which was Jonathan, the systemic error. There is absolutely nothing different from where we were in 2015 and where we are today. If anything, things have only grown progressively worse. The simple solution to Nigerian problem in 2015 was corruption must be eradicated, and Saint Buhari would bring El Dorado once corruption disappears. The question nobody asks, what causes and enables corruption in Nigeria? It is the system. The system is corrupt on its own, and it cannot produce anything beyond corruption. So, if you are looking for a simple system, a simple solution to our complex problems, from me, I don't have one. But I do know that as long as our system remains untouched, unscrapped, our problems will not disappear. If you have a production system that is designed to produce microphones, such as this one that I'm using to inflict my voice on you, it is not likely to ever manage to produce a bottle of water. Every fruit reproduces after itself, its own kind. Thank you, sir. The Nigerian system is not designed to be ruled by law. Because if laws must rule, it must be certain, it must be equally applied, and it is not by accident that the Lady of Justice is always recorded as being blindfolded, holding a scale with a sword. The Nigerian justice is not blind. It looks at you well. Are you rich or are you poor? If you are rich or poor, in fact, if you are rich, unless you have offended somebody in government, nobody has time for you. Now, if you are rich and you are being persecuted by the Nigerian state, it is simply because you have offended somebody in power. If you are in the dock and you are poor, your innocence will not save you if the system requires a scapegoat. The point I am making is this: no matter how noble the intentions of the person that you might consider the savior might be, for as long as the Nigerian system survives untouched, it can only produce the evil with which we are grappling today. I was on a friend's wall, and I'll round up with this. I believe it was on Sunday. I discussed this with my wife afterwards. And he posted, he shared a mail, and he shared an article on his wall. Very rationally written, brilliant submission, the work, I believe, of a genius. I'm sure some of you who are familiar with Facebook, by the time I start talking about the article, you might have seen it already. It was written by a Yoruba man. The man is a Yoruba irredentist. I was one. Once upon a time, I believe in the law school, Bayo will remember this. I used to head the Yoruba group, and I was of the opinion, coming through Apache's years, that Nigeria was best served by decimation of the Nigerian state. Yoruba should go, everybody should go. It didn't even care. It didn't occur. We didn't bother to think through the simple solutions we were profiling for Nigerian problems. So I'm not too far removed from this person. I used to think like that. It's very simple. Oh, Nigeria is not working. You'll go to a republic, as if that would dissipate or vaporize the problem. So this gentleman analyzed the Nigerian situation today. He went around and looked at the state of insecurity in the Nigerian state. He touched on the raging war in the northeastern part of Nigeria. He touched on the problem in the Benue Trough. Let's call it what it is. It's a genocide. He talked about that. He talked about how the same problem has started creeping all over Nigeria, and as it is today, the reality is that Nigeria is in the grip of a massive, massive security problem. People might pretend because we're in Lagos and you can go wherever you please. My white brother here, who is probably going back to Ilorin, at some point, I'm sure he will be apprehensive about the safety on that road heading back. People are being kidnapped within the southwest now. It is very easy to buy into the hysteria and say, oh, it's Fulani this, Fulani that. The point is this: when we were in the university, if the boys that were deemed cultists were treated for what they did, if you kill a man, you're a murderer. It didn't matter whether you belong to a cult or not. If they had been dealt with as murderers, if you brought a gun into school and you were dealt with for carrying unlicensed arms in a school premises, you would obviously not be dealt with as a cultist. But it was more dangerous to be a student union functionary in the Nigerian university than to be a cultist. The school authorities are more comfortable dealing with the cultist than dealing with the student union person. The same problem is what you are seeing in the Nigerian space. We have accommodated evil to the point where there are credible reports of collusion with the terrorist elements amongst those who call themselves X-Men. It is a failure of the Nigerian state that must not be excused, that we are living under the state of siege in which we live. And it is also conclusive evidence of the complicity or failure of the state to do what it needs to do, that we have gotten to the point now where vast areas in the countryside, even in the southwest, are becoming depopulated because people are running away from the lack of safety in those rural areas. I have farms in Ogun State, in the Jebuku axis. I have heard reports of Fulani herdsmen in the J4 jungle, which borders my farm. A lot of people have started leaving the villages where the farms are located And we all sit in Lagos and we think everything is hunky-dory. Now, if you know how to pray, keep praying. I have Pastor Charles prays a lot. My brother tell me to just say a lot of prayer, but here is the thing. Christianity or Islam should not be a pretense for the application of our rational capacities. Man is a rational being. We have been blessed with brains. Yes, ignorance has been weaponized. I agree. And that is what has led me to write the book I have written. One, I write that book as a defense to myself, so that when the day shall come, when I might be long gone, and they are reviewing what happened to those who are called Nigerians, it will be said of me that there was one amongst them. Whatever else might happen or not happen, it will be said there was one amongst them. This was what he said. It stands in defense of me when my children might begin to wonder later in life, why didn't our father talk? I did talk, but I did more than talk. I have offered ways forward. I'll say this to you, and I'll close like that. Fear is a limiting factor. I should know. I am blessed with a son, my last born, who just so happens to be autistic. One of the key identifying factor of autism is a lack of appreciation of fear. And because my son does not understand the concept of fear, he's one of the best swimmers you're ever going to find. We went to Labadi Beach one day, and I saw my son in the water. The local fisherman we hired to stay with him as a lifeguard could not follow Folari as far as Folari was going. This was about 3-4 years ago. He was 8 years old at the time. The local fisherman at Labadi Beach couldn't follow. I was scared. We had myself and the mother, we had our heart in our mouth. Why? Because we were afraid. We were scared. But he was jumping in the water for joy because he has no understanding of fear. Fear is a limiting factor, and it has been deployed effectively against Nigerians. When I finished writing this book, I have been counseled by a lot of people against publishing it. Very close friends, well-meaning friends. The only reason they counseled this is because they know that we live in an unjust, wicked society. And the Nigerian state is murderous, make no mistake about it. And I did recall 1 or 2 events in this book. I see Babashe we were there, we saw the state kill citizens as examples in order to disperse a crowd of students who were demonstrating for one thing or the other. Shoot one of them, the rest will go. And that happened. We saw it. Kunle Shonowo was his name. We saw it. So here is the point. As much as fear and the specter will stand in front of you, it is important that we all get to the point where we understand that until you invest the object of fear with the powers that scares you, it does not possess them over you. Every human being will die. Say it again. Say it. Every human being will die. We all. What you said before that. I don't know what Babashe is waiting for me to review, but the truth really is that we've gotten to that point where we need to look our fears in the eyes and say to fear, do your worst. I believe the word. Don't clap for me. It was our friend, Sonia, he said, very good, don't do my what he's saying is simple. Whatever is even in that bush that is making noise, let it come out. Let it come out. I mean, at the end of the day, we are more than them. Yeah. We are the ones limiting ourselves. We are more than them. Thank you very much.